Hi guys, and here I want to talk about realism in foreign policy. Let's move. How is realism defined? As we talked in previous semester, we that um, theory of IR. Realism is the foundational school of thought about international politics around which all others are oriented. It follows that any foreign policy analyst who wishes to make use of international relations theory must understand the realism. Realism is a school of thought based on three core assumptions about how the world works. First is groupism. Humans face one another mainly as members of groups. To survive at anything above subsistence level, people need the cohesion provided by group solida, and very same group cohesion generates the potential for conflict with other groups. And second is egoism, self-interest, ultimately drives political behavior. Power centrism. Power is a fundamental feature of politics. What are the key components of realism? Confusingly, scholars use theory to refer to three distinct things: realism itself, a large and complex thought, subschools within realism such as neorealism, and specific realist theories such as the became balance of power, the security dilemma, or the offense-defense balance. Propositions about patterns of relations among states or pressures facing a particular state. When no authority which can enforce agreements exists, a condition theorists call anarchy, any state can resort to force to get what it wants. Kennersford sought to refine realist thinking by translating some core realist ideas into a deductive top-down theoretical framework that eventually came to be called neorealism. Waltz held that the classical realist powerful insights into the workings of international politics were weakened by their failure to distinguish clearly among arguments about human nature, the internal attributes of states, and the overall system of states. In Theory of International Politics, Waltz argued that 1979 brought together and clarified many early realist ideas about how the features of the overall system of states affect the ways that states interact. What are the main hallmarks of realist work in foreign policy analysis? It can be a defensive realist, reasoned that under very common conditions the war-causing potential of anarchy is attenuated. Offensive realists, by contrast, were more persuaded by the conflict-generating structural potential of anarchy itself. They reasoned that with no authority to enforce agreements, states could never be certain that any peace-causing condition today would remain operative in the future, and policy implying that theory development and FPA had become too distinct endeavors with little connection to each other. When we talk, neoclassical realism is a subschool within realism that seeks to rectify this imbalance between the general and the particular. It began as efforts to explain anomalies or puzzles that neorealism could not account for, such as foreign policy seemingly too aggressive or not aggressive enough. What is the main mistake people make when applying real theory to FPA? Let's look. And what is the most important distinction to keep in mind when applying realist theory to FPA? When we say that here are the main things, because uh, when the people are applying to the FPA, they are mostly making a mistake with the neoclassical, like with considering the neoclassical realism in the work, and that's why they are different between each other when we say that they cannot be imbalanced, but the root of their connection are the same, and that's why in the foreign policy of analysis, the realism and neoclassical realism is as imbalanced between general and the particular. And thank you for your attention.